So one of the things I think about a lot is how Jeff Bezos thinks about the vision of his company. It's curious how, it's curious how one of the big companies right before the dot-com crash was Amazon, but it survived the dot-com crash. It survived the 2008 financial crisis. However many recessions have been in the US up to this day, and they've kind of grown up to the trillion-dollar company they are now. And it's curious, how exactly does Jeff Bezos think about long-term vision? Um, because in the beginning of the company, he would always say, this is a customer-centric company. This isn't a technology company or whatever. He would just say this is a customer-centric company. So how exactly does Jeff think about, so how exactly does Jeff Bezos think about vision? All right, let's get into it. So let's go right before the dot-com crash. It's 1997. Every Silicon Valley company is blowing up. Pets.com is especially huge at the moment. And everybody's getting into everybody's getting into what? Everybody's getting into companies. Everybody's going big and everyone is getting deep into their pockets and spilling them over any website with has a .com on it. At the same time, companies like PayPal and Amazon raised up a lot of cash. The reason there is a lot of cash was because a bunch of people saw that that was kind of a trap and they needed a lot of money to kind of, if something bad might happen, like what the bubble burst, if something bad like that might happen, then they would need a lot of, I guess that they would need a lot of money. So a bunch of people were racking up cash and stuff. At the time, Jeff Bezos was time of the year, I think. That was around 1999. So right before the bubble burst, Jeff was Time Magazine's Person of the Year, and Amazon was growing relentlessly. So yeah, so anyway, people keep people keep pumping money, and in 2021, and the bubble bursts. The bubble bursts. Bunch of people lose their money. Amazon went down for like to like 80. Amazon went down to 80% in terms of its share price. It was already listed on the IPO at the time, so it went down about 80%. After it went down 80%, Jeff sent a letter to his shareholders, and keep in mind that to his investors and shareholders, yeah, keep in mind that right before the when Amazon was being invested in as a company, Jeff Bezos had to convince all his all his well, I guess all his investors. He had to convince all his investors and tell them that this company will not make money now, but it will make money in the long run. So even on TV interviews, Jeff would always say, well, we're not really profitable now, but obviously we'll be profitable in 10, 20 years or however long that is. So that's kind of what they were doing, but the company was growing as the investors, investors, they were not profitable for a while, but investors were not going to see profits maybe immediately, but after a while, they were supposed to, they were supposed to hold their money and wait for them to get all that money out. So the bubble, the bubble bursts, Amazon drops 80%. Jeff Bezos sends his shareholder letters, and well, I guess investors need to keep trusting this Jeff Bezos guy. But how exactly did he convince all these investors? The point of, well, the point of this whole thing is to see exactly how we can open our eyes to paying attention to the long term and not just thinking about, tomorrow is a great day for like let's make money tomorrow, let's make money next week or whatever. Jeff thought, okay, 10, 20 years. And now he's like second, third, what is it now? I don't know. Like maybe, I think it's like third or fourth richest person in the world now. But the point was, this started back then in the 90s. And he didn't just think of, okay, tomorrow, okay, next week, but he thought, okay, this company, it needs to be developed upon a really great principle. And that principle was being customer centric. In every interview, Jeff would always say, our company is customer centric. We're not a bookstore. We're not a whatever. We're not a bookstore. We don't make light bulbs. We're not a music company, whatever. What we are is a company that is just obsessed with our customers, and customers don't really make things on themselves. So I have to make things for them. That was what Jeff Bezos was saying for a long period of time. That's what he was saying. So he kept on saying this. They kept on living it at Amazon. They kept on being like that. Um, so yeah, I guess that's kind of how Amazon was built. So the dot com the bubbles burst where post the dot com crash. Um, we know that Jeff has a long-term vision, and his long-term vision has helped him see through all of those things. So what exactly can we learn from Jeff about, about long-term vision? Number one, we must learn to focus our companies on singular points of importance. I think as much as most of us or business owners or even people or even life in general, we like to spread our wings and we like to do a lot of stuff just for the sake of if you do more, you feel like you're spreading your wings more and stuff. So a lot of things, you feel like if you do a lot of things, then you work. But if you do that, then you're also reducing focus and reducing your concentration on those other things. So it's important to be really focused upon one founding principle. Maybe not one, maybe two, three, whatever. But it's just important to really keep your head down on that one thing and not really to force yourself to, and not really spread your wings far or whatever. Just focus on one thing and work on that thing and be the best at this one thing. And if you're the best at that one thing, then of course you survive somewhere that other people might not survive. Which at the time, since most companies went under, yeah, most people did. Another thing we can learn from Jeff is just to be relentless, and even as things are not going as perfectly as you might want them to, it's important um to keep being I guess to keep being relentless. Amazon at first was once called relentless.com. Actually, if you Google relentless.com, it redirects you to amazon.com because it's still connected to the site. So be relentless with the company that you're building. If you're building a tech company, you must be relentless upon your vision, be relentless on what exactly you're focusing on. And yeah, so I guess that's it. Subscribe and like this video and comment what else you think what else you think we could what else you think we could add, or anything else you might like. Thanks for that. Thanks for watching.